And oddly enough, the ending of Rogue One: Star Wars Story leads right into
Yep,
into
episode 4, A New Hope.
yeah. Now the version that I'm reviewing is because like I actually recently got the original Star Wars trilogy on Blu-ray, but it's like the official Blu-ray and whatnot. That does have the special edition changes, but
Yeah.
however, even with the special edition changes, like I literally just watched it not too long ago before we started the thing, and here's like basically I even with the special edition changes, for some reason I actually really liked New Hope a lot more than I have, and that's not because of the special editions, but it's like I kind of had this weird thing with A New Hope. Like the first time I saw it, I thought it was okay. Then the second time I saw it, I thought it was really good. Then another time, it was a little bit better than okay. But I think right now back to think like I think A New Hope is really good. Even with the special edition changes, not because of them. Like I'll get into the special edition changes here in a bit, but man, like it's honestly kind of surprising how well A New Hope does hold up after like since it was released in the 70s.
1977.
Yeah, like I like because like now granted
It's
there
42 years, I'm pretty sure.
god damn like yeah that's what I'm talking about uh like Star Wars: A New Hope did change cinema and whatnot, and but even then, I don't know, what were your thoughts on Star Wars: A New Hope?
Now, I love Star Wars: A New Hope. I personally am in possession of what you would call the despecialized editions. So that's how I've always watched A New Hope because I really think that uh, George Lucas should be remembered in the history books with the likes of Adolf Hitler for butchering art
Oh,
and causing millions of deaths with the alterations he made to these movies. But that's besides the point. Episode 4 is easily my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I think it's fantastic. I think that the attention to detail in it is incredible. The practical effects are just amazing. Even 42 years later, they still hold up to a degree. Now, sure, you can tell, like for example, in the scenes where you see Luke riding around in his speeder on Tatooine, you can kind of tell that the dude that's in the driver's seat of the speeder is either a action figure or a dummy. That doesn't matter that much for C-3PO, obviously, because he's a robot. He's plated in gold. If you have an action figure or a dummy of the robot, you're going to be able to make it look exactly like the robot, regardless. But even then, the special effects for the Death Star, the Millennium Falcon, the space battles, the lightsabers, the blasters, it all really holds up and immerses you in the tale that they're showing you. And it really, for me, just is probably one of the best starts to any series in any movie. It's that was pretty much all I did have to say. Episode 4 is a classic, and I thoroughly enjoy it every time that I watch it. I do, however, really hate what George Lucas did to these movies in the years after it was made and released into theaters. For example, having Han shoot second for no reason, even though when you really look at how he did it, he just kind of moved Harrison Ford's head to the left, making it look like he broke his own neck and then also stretched it out and then just snapped it back into place. It was easily. And then the scene with Jabba the Hutt, in which
oh.
he just edited scenes of Han Solo walking around the Millennium Falcon, took all of the dialogue bits from his conversation with Greedo, and just pasted them into the scene and Jabba the Hutt. Oh my
So like,
god.
here's the thing with the special edition changes for me. Like, I don't mind the idea of him doing them, but at least let us still see the originals. But even then, most of the special edition changes in A New Hope are, for me at least, minor annoyances. Like when they're going through what was it called? Mos Eisley.
Oh yeah, and all
there's all
that
these
shit on the screen,
like
bro.
again for me that's a minor annoyance. Like when there's that one big animal going in front of the camera. Like what?
Yeah, dude, it was like that scene in Monsters Inc. where they're like crossing the street or whatever, and then you just see like a giant fucking dinosaur leg or something, and it just makes like a chicken sound. It's that ridiculous. And then there's a few other ones, and I agree with you. They are minor annoyances, but my big issue is that like in all of these re-releases, that's the only way to watch them.
Yeah,
There's no special feature
Yeah,
that includes a theatrical cut of the movie, but you have like the stormtroopers when they're looking for the droids, they're riding on these real big fake CGI horse lizard things. And then the scene where Han Solo is running after the stormtroopers, and then he turns around because there were a lot more of them. So in the original cut of Episode 4, he follows those two stormtroopers, gets to that room, and there are like 4 or 5 of them in there, with the like including the 2 that he was chasing. And then he turns around and runs because they all start blasting him, which makes sense. That's like a squad. That was probably the other guards that they were there doing their patrols with. In the special edition, he just added like 50 or 60, I don't even know, CGI stormtroopers in this room, and it really doesn't add anything to the scene. But for me, it was just not necessary.
Like for me, there are some special edition changes I like. Actually, I thought the extra stormtroopers was actually kind of made the scene even funnier because like he runs into the room and there's like fucking 50 stormtroopers. Like I actually kind of thought that was kind of funny. Like I didn't mind that change. And again, for me, most of them are just minor annoyances. Like again, the CG, like Mos Eisley, even the Greedo shooting first thing again, I thought was weird, and the effect of Harrison's face was very bizarre. But for me, even that wasn't the worst because like it took up less than a second of screen time. But
okay,
Jabba,
but my issue is if you really think about it, it doesn't make sense. So
I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But again,
we have like when Luke and Ben Kenobi first walk into the fucking cantina. Luke gets a drink or whatever, and Obi-Wan stands next to him, and then these 2 guys start bothering Luke, and then he's like, "We're wanted men in over 42 systems," and then like the other dude's like, "My friend doesn't like you," and Obi-Wan's like, "He's not worth the trouble," and then they're just they're drunk, they're causing trouble, they're not really doing anything to anyone, and then he just cuts one of their arms off and slashes the other guy across the chest, like without they didn't draw a weapon or anything, they just kind of shoved Luke, and so he killed them both pretty much. And I would like the guy that got his arm cut off could have survived, but the guy that got like slashed by a laser sword, I'm pretty sure he was dead.
what was that?
So if that was in Episode 4. That was like right before
I
Han
know that.
Solo.
I mean, like, was that a special edition change?
No, that was the original scene. And that's never ever been changed or altered in any way, shape, or form. So what I'm getting at is that if you can have a Jedi do something like that to 2 unarmed drunken slobs, why is it such a problem that Han Solo shoots the guy that had a gun on him first? It's not something he wouldn't do. He's a space pirate, for Christ's sake. He's a smuggler. He doesn't care. He just wants to, make a living doing smuggling and stuff. He doesn't want to get geeked by some Rhodian named Greedo. He doesn't want to die to him, so of course he's going to shoot him first.
Again, for me, like I agree. It's a dumb scene, but for me, it's just it takes up less than a second of screen time. So for me, it's just a minor annoyance. Like But for me, the one that was even worse for me was Jabba. Because, like, that took up, like, 1 or 2 minutes of screen time. Not only did it take 1 or 2 minutes of screen time...
It just did stuff that we already heard and knew.
Yeah, it was completely redundant, and the CGI itself for Jabba was so bad.
Disgusting. Okay, so have you ever seen... Hang on, sorry.
That's fine.
I had to cough.
Fine.
Have you ever seen I'm pretty sure it was a 1998 version... It was on VHS.
God. Oh, no, 1995.
95, right.
Or was it 90s?
Have you seen that version?
Whoa.
That version of Jabba?
Oh, that was the first one I saw.
It was disgusting. I was like, dude, what is that? What is that?
The one that's currently on the Blu-ray is not as bad.
Yeah,
But oh my,
but it's still pretty bad.
yeah, it's pretty bad. But oh my god, the one from the 1995 or 97 re-release, like that special edition, that was embarrassing.
That was just horrendous. It
Oh
looked worse than
god.
like a PlayStation 1 video game.
I mean,
It
well,
was.
it looked like it looked. I don't know if I go that far. It probably looked about as good as a PlayStation 3 video game because, like, regardless, it was just a really horrible effect. And I'm like, oh,
I don't know. I mean, you have to remember, Uncharted came out on the PlayStation 3, and that looks pretty good. It looks almost like a movie. I'd say PlayStation 2 is about as far as I'd take it, but it was pretty bad.
yeah, that's basically what I'm gathering is that that CGI job was. That's what I'm saying. That scene for me was even worse than like the Greedo shooting first thing because it took up way more screen time than it needed to. The CGI was awful, and
It made
it
the
was.
movie ugly, and it just wasted your time, dude.
But even then, but even then, there was lots of, but even with the special edition changes, which, I mean, even with the special edition changes, surprisingly, it still didn't detract from me too much from Star Wars: A New Hope watching it on the official Blu-ray. Again, I do want to watch the despecialized editions, but the reason why I'm reviewing the one from the Blu-ray is because, well, this is the current version that is supposed to be canon. Like George Lucas, like everyone was wondering why hasn't Disney released the originals yet. I'm willing to bet George Lucas put in that contract when he sold Lucasfilm off to Disney that they do not show the originals as they were, which I feel like it's a shame because I mean, again, I don't mind him doing the special edition changes, but let us see the originals. I mean,
My issue with all of this lies in some of the stuff that happened in 4, mainly 5, and also 6. So 4 for the most part was George Lucas and the director. The problem that you run into when you change a bunch of stuff and replace things is that now that you're probably right. I feel like he probably did put some clause in the contract when he was selling Star Wars to Disney saying you cannot show the theatrical releases of Star Wars: A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi. And my problem is that, for example, in Episode 5, the voice work for Boba Fett and also the Emperor, in the original theatrical release, the Emperor was played by somebody, I think he was still played by, oh god, what's his name?
I don't know if it was Ian McDiarmid. I think it was another actor. I don't know.
Yeah, it was another actor, I'm fairly sure. But the Boba Fett was also very obviously another actor. They went back into when they released these in the special editions. They replaced the Emperor with Ian, and then they replaced Boba Fett's voice actor with that Australian dude that they had in the Clone Wars that voiced Jango Fett. Now hang on. That's not the problem. The problem is that the acting credits for the 2 original actors were taken out of the credits. So those credits are gone pretty much forever unless you can get a copy of the theatrical release with the original credits, because I don't know why, but it doesn't make sense to me. Same thing with Return of the Jedi. When they replace Anakin or Darth Vader's ghost with
from David Prowse to Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christensen, which if you want to make it make sense with the prequels, fine, go ahead. It makes some sense, but the prequels are also shit. So just leave the movies alone. I
honestly didn't. What?
They took away the acting credit from the guy that originally played the ghost, the guy that originally was the ghost of Vader.
Oh, David. Well, actually, I don't know if that was David Prowse. I think that was another actor, but I don't know. But I don't. Again, like I said, I feel like there are some special edition changes that I don't think were that bad. Like, I honestly don't mind them changing the voice of Boba Fett because again, it makes it a little bit more consistent. Ian McDiarmid makes it a little bit more consistent. Hayden Christensen, I feel like, well, I don't know. I feel like they probably could have put the original actor in there because I mean, if they put Hayden Christensen in there, then why didn't they have Ewan McGregor? So, like, I mean, well, and with Yoda, well, he looks about the same as he does all the time. But, like, for me, like I said, I don't even mind the idea of, George Lucas trying to go back and do his, change his films. Because, like, hey, I'd be interested to see, how a director can change over the past few decades.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. George Lucas did not direct Star Wars Episode 5 or Episode 6.
Well, yeah.
Episode 5 was directed by the visionary legend that is Irvin Kershner, which is why it was so good, because he finally had someone telling George, like, hey, I mean, we could do that, but that's not really feasible or really makes sense. And he had a clear vision and a lot of knowledge with things like effects and camera work. Episode 5 is easily the best looking of the original three Star Wars movies. For me, it really established the aesthetic of not only the Empire, but pretty much every character in those three Star Wars movies. But then he goes back and messes with something that was, yes, partially his vision, but mostly done by Irvin Kershner. A lot of the work was originally done by him. I don't know how much, like, sure, he has full right to go and do it. It makes me feel that it's not really that right, because, like, did he consult Irving Kershner to make a lot of these changes? Probably not.
I mean, I don't know. Wait, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, but like, because in all honesty, I don't think George Lucas is that great of a filmmaker. Because, like, even with A New Hope, like, there's a lot, like a lot of people will tell you that. I mean, yeah, I know it's blasphemy to say it, but like, I mean, like, there's a lot of articles that go around, showing that George Lucas had a lot of help with making A New Hope. Like, I think even Carrie Fisher, like, edited a lot of the script to make it feel a lot more natural, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually, that's actually really true. There's a fun story. When the actors did a lot of the scenes, the biggest complaint was that it felt really choppy and sort of out of sequence. So yes, not only did Carrie Fisher help with editing and making it feel a lot more natural, but, like, you could tell that the original draft of Episode 4, A New Hope, probably wasn't going to be, like, as big as a theatrical success as what they actually came out with.
Yeah, and that's another really funny thing. That's probably one of the funniest little bits of irony in the entire history of Hollywood. Like, 20th Century Fox just gave all the rights to George Lucas, thinking that this was going to be a massive flop, and yet it became the biggest film franchise in the history of cinema. Like,
Right.
that I just find that to be really hilarious. But even then, regardless of, even with all the special edition changes and there a little bit of hokiness, I still really enjoy. For some reason, I've enjoyed a New Hope more now than I have in the past. Like, I still don't think this is. I don't know. I don't think this is. I don't think this is around one of my favorite Star Wars films. But this is definitely a really solid one in my opinion. Some of the effects do hold up, especially, again, like, another example of special edition changes that I don't mind is, like, whenever they used, like, ships in space. Like, sometimes they use, like, for example, when there's X-Wings or TIE Fighters, they replace those with CGI, and honestly, it actually looks really good. I couldn't even notice it. But, like, Star Wars: New Hope, I feel like, does hold up really well. Even when looking past of the special edition changes, I do wish that one day we can have the official the original versions of the original Star Wars trilogy. But seeing as how the current Blu-ray special editions are, these are the ones that are canon. But even then, I really enjoyed Star Wars: A New Hope, and it set a path to one of, probably even definitely the most successful and influential film franchise of all time that is still going really strong today. What do you think?
Yep, I definitely agree. It was way ahead of its time, and the people that made it come together really made what I would not hesitate to call a masterpiece. It's incredible as a movie. Everything goes well together. The characters have good on-screen chemistry. It's a really awesome story, and it's one of the few movies that I wish that I could experience for the first time all over again.
Yeah, the first time I experienced it was was the 1997 VHS thing of it, and which I but yeah, I do really enjoy this movie.